April is Confederate Heritage Month to remind neo-Confederates and Lost Cause ass clowns what their heritage is. The Sons of Liberty admin team is executing a daily series throughout this entire month, commemorating anniversary events and honoring Southerners who remained loyal to the United States. If you're just coming across this video, make sure to follow the Sons of Liberty, as we'll be upsetting neo-Confederates and Lost Cause bigots all month long. That's literally why I've got my snowflake collector here. Salty Confederate tears. On this day in history, in 1861, the Union Army's first units, mobilizing in response to South Carolina insurrectionists firing on Fort Sumter, would arrive in Washington, D.C. Notably among them was the Seventh New York Militia Regiment, not to be confused with the Seventh New York Infantry Regiment. The 7th Militia was nicknamed the Silk Stocking Regiment and also the Blue Blood Regiment on account of a significant number of its members being part of New York City's social elite. The arrival of this regiment heralded to the nation that the United States was preparing for war. It galvanized other states to stand up militias of their own and to call for volunteers to serve in the coming war. In this case, I guess when they say the New York Regiment was one of the first into D.C., the Yankees were in fact truly coming. So here's to you, you Yankee motherfuckers. In response to Abraham Lincoln's victory in the presidential election of 1860, the governments of South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas responded by declaring their intention to secede from the Union during the winter of 1860 to 1861. Each of these states passed a resolution outlining the justifications for their actions. As in the case of Mississippi, these tended to emphasize the centrality of slavery as an institution to the Southern way of life. In most cases, states that seceded from the Union, which also drafted both a resolution and an article of secession, made the bold and blatant declaration that the cause for secession was slavery and the equality or liberty of black people, whether from a moral standpoint or from an economic standpoint. These declarations were enshrined in print and read aloud to any crowd that would hear them. Furthermore, contemporary writings of the time, whether in the form of letters, books, journalism, articles, or other common broadsheets, put much emphasis on the reasons for and the resulting response to secession. As an example, acclaimed journalist of the era, Junius Henry Brown, escaped from a Confederate POW camp at Salisbury, North Carolina, and then proceeded to compile his experience as a war correspondent into a book, basing his work on articles and letters that he'd written. From 1861 onward, he made it clear that many people across the country, whether in the North or the South, considered secession treason, and that the Southerners were generally fighting for slavery, whilst the Yankees were fighting to reunite the country. Brown also noted that many commoners from the South that he interviewed had been coerced into backing secession, usually with threats of violence. Make no mistake about it, the Confederacy came about because of slavery. Anything else was a secondary concern, and historical revisionists attempting to claim otherwise are full of shit and they can go fuck themselves. These facts are unassailable because the documentation exists. In fact, the Articles of Secession for the state of South Carolina are protected under glass in the SC Capitol building, as well as scanned and available to read on their website. Don't let Confederate apologists and neo-Confederates tell you otherwise. Use the truth as a weapon. Call them out. Denying that the war was about slavery is the same as denying the Holocaust, because ample evidence exists. The Confederate Constitution, Confederacy Vice President Stevens' cornerstone speech, letters and autobiographies from both slave-owning oligarchs and Southern soldiers, and my personal favorite, the various articles of secession written by state legislators in rebellion declared to the world that both slavery and economic factors tied to slavery was the reason that they were seceding. So suck a big fat dick, Confederate apologists. For the entire month of April, a whopping handful of days left of it anyway, the Sons of Liberty is running a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo to create a year-long documentary web series on Civil War history. We have over 80,000 subscribers on YouTube alone, so if just 10% of them gave $5 each, we'd be well past our funding goal and I could shut the hell up about it. Funding this campaign means that the Sons of Liberty admins get to take you on an exciting historical journey and, at the same time, help educate or debunk, depending, various bits of Civil War history, myths, legends, and lies. Reminder that the Confederacy were traitors who betrayed the United States and tried to destroy the Union out of spite. Reminder that heritage, not hate, is lost cause horse shit. Reminder that the lost cause narrative is revisionist history bullshit. Reminder that the South seceded over slavery and economic factors tied to slavery. And here's another reminder that the Confederacy is a bunch of traitors who lost a war that they started, got their asses kicked in the war that they started, and were forced to beg to be readmitted into the Union. P.S. Your flag, this one right here, this surrender cloth, is a participation trophy. Admin Tim316 says get fucked and die mad about it. Hashtag not sorry, not sorry.
And now it's time for the throw punch!